10 seconds remaining.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Battle of Central Europe Season 3. This is going to just be one game between aShock Gaming and Hellraisers. Technically, this is the third game of a best of 3. It was delayed, so it's just essentially a best of 1 from the winner's bracket. Winner gets to go on and face, I believe, VP Polar. Loser goes down to the loser's bracket, and they're still in the tournament. Here on the HeflaTV Hitbox 1 channel, I'm Mike Loris, one of your casters. I'm joined by Grandis, and man, the other two games, I honestly don't remember anything about them. It felt like so long ago.
It really does feel like a long time ago, and well, even though Game 1 looked really strong for Hellraisers, aShock were able to take Game 2 in a similar fashion, and definitely bettors weren't expecting that. I don't know, livelihood of many people's rares lies on Hellraisers. I believe the odds are like 77-22.
Oh man, even if you think that like Hellraisers are going to win this, just put an item on aShock, you get such huge returns just with those odds. It's insane. How come the odds are that skewed? It's probably just because aShock aren't that known, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think aShock, they definitely are the smaller name, but especially during the group stage, if you were following Battle of Central Europe at all, I think those odds look a lot closer to 60-40, or maybe even 50-50. I think it's pretty close between these two teams. It's going to be a first pick Brewmaster, and a really solid way to start out this draft for aShock.
For sure. Brewmaster is the first pick, probably going to be responded to by some mix of Scarith Mage, Vengeful Spirit, maybe even Ogre Magi for some stun locking, but for sure it's a powerful start for aShock. So yeah, hidden tips, guys. If it's not too late to place bets on aShock, because apparently the odds are in your favor in that regard, but not going to tell you who to bet. I don't know who's going to win. Don't go there. Brewmaster is the first pick, a very stable pick, and it's certainly counterable, but it's very difficult to counter him in lane. You have to counter him with fast reflexes, and sometimes that just isn't going to be happening.
Definitely not. For Hellraisers, they're taking quite a large chunk of time, and the reserve time too. Brewmaster first pick is not very peculiar at all. Very standard opener for a lot of teams, and honestly I'm curious as to why it's taking them so long.
Yeah, usually the response is Scarith Mage at the very least. You could pick that one and then think about your second one. It is going to be them taking 2 picks, so maybe they want to figure out what duo they want, which I suppose is fair enough, but if they do end up ultimately landing on Scarith Mage Centaur, then, I mean, that's not going to be surprising at all. It's probably the best 2-hero counter for the Brewmaster, at least in response to a first pick hero. Are they actually going to pick? They're all still here. Goretz is just mulling it over. There we go. Some stunning.
Venge. Okay, and now we wait. It's going to be like a puck or something. It's just going to be really normal. Like, there's nothing actually going to be peculiar about this, except for the fact that they used a minute 46 of reserve time for this. Scarith Mage still wouldn't be a bad choice. Combos really well as far as supports are concerned with the Vengeful Spirit. Just play stun into Ancient Seal and Mystic Flare is wonderful.
And Hellraisers, they're really in the tank about this one. There shouldn't really be that much thought put into this. It's not like this is, you know, TI4 finals or anything like that. They played, it's just a best of 1. They could have, I guess, been looking at yesterday's picks and figuring out what they want, but this is not strange by any means. And the pick of aShock, Jakiro, I'm pretty sure was not even in Hellraiser's mind to pick right now, seeing as though Jakiro is not the best hero versus Brewmaster, at least not as good as what they have right now, so well, just a lot of time down. So Hellraisers, they are going to be rushed for their next couple of picks. Jakiro as the pick for aShock, going to mean that they are going to play this a little bit more aggressively than they would be if they were just holding on to Brewmaster +1.
For sure. There is an option for Hellraisers to go for a Draw Ranger, although that would be a little bit weaker than we're used to seeing, as Vengeful Spirit, Scarith Mage is probably both of their supports. For aShock, they're going to ban out the Anti-Mage, potentially flagging, they're going for Medusa, but even just up against the Brewmaster, just having any sort of mana burn is pretty useful. He doesn't really like having his mana drained. I'm not exactly sure where I was going with that, but any way to stop him from splitting is great.
And for Hellraisers, I think it's going to be a puck here. Easy pick. It's not banned out. It goes great with what they have, and it's great up against what aShock have. It's going to be Slark, banned out by the Hellraisers. You know, they have some pretty decent tools to deal with it. Just too annoying to deal with. Also going to be an IO being booted out of this game. So, yeah, Hellraisers, they have quite a few options. They said Draw Ranger to keep their options open. They probably should go for that hero a little bit later in the draft. If they do go for it right now, it would certainly pack a punch. And if you get on top of the Brewmaster, even with his Brewlings, with the amount of tankiness that they have, not sure if that's going to be necessarily enough to... or you could actually kill off the Brewmaster even when he is split if you have that much damage. It's going to be a Gyrocopter instead. That's not the hero I really expected. I guess Draw Ranger is still available, but this is going to be a very soft draft from Hellraisers, it seems.
It definitely is, but I suppose Gyrocopter is really scary with these two supports as well. Vengeful Spirit Stun, the Concussive Shot, and just the rundown with Rocket Barrage, and Rocket Barrage amplified by Ancient Seal is also a pretty dirty combination. This is a lot of damage and early mid-game fighting potential coming up from Hellraisers that also scales well late. Zeus, on the other hand, is going to be their next choice, and although he doesn't work the best later on into the game, once he maxes out that Thunderbolt, gets a point up into his Thunder God's Wrath, he can absolutely decimate teams.
So Hellraiser's actually going for a pretty aggressive early game strategy, actually. Like, Gyrocopter can take it late. He's very oftenly picked because he has power in both the early and late stages. But with Zeus Gyrocopter, these two heroes have a ton of burst damage early, as you said. Of course, Vengeful Spirit, Skywrath Mage still are going to be consistent with that. And still, Hellraisers have all four heroes of their draft being ranged. It's still possible to go for that Draw Ranger pick, although I think at this point, a little bit less likely. They're going to be very aggressive, and Aftershock, they were the ones to pick up the Jakiro. They're going to be a lot more defensive with Viper, Brewmaster, very difficult heroes to bring down, but this is a hell of a lot of burst coming out from Hellraisers.
It really is. I'm quite worried for Aftershock. I'm not sure how they're going to really fare against Hellraisers. These lanes from Hellraisers look all around pretty solid. A Jakiro, Earthshaker, plus one lane, whether that's a support or another core, is still another story altogether. Probably won't be able to survive up against Hellraisers try unless their positioning is absolutely perfect. If they just make one misstep, Magic Missile, you're getting stuck with Rocket Barrage and you're completely gone.
10 seconds remaining.
So for Aftershock, if assuming they are going to have this Jakiro being played as a core role, they need one more support. Up against the amount of magic damage Hellraisers have, someone like a Dazzle or a Rubik would seem like a pretty nice pickup for Aftershock. They need someone defensive. If they try to combat fire with fire, I'm pretty sure they just don't have enough fire in order to win that fight. But for Hellraisers, they are probably not going to be too concerned about the last pick of Aftershock. They should just stay the course and pick up whatever they want.
Yeah, I think ideally this is a Tidehunter. The Faceless Void Band is pretty good, but instead they go for a Necrophos. Huh. It's a really interesting pick here. It combos really well with the vast amount of burst damage Hellraisers have. If you're at any point Reaper's Scythe, dropping you to below half HP or into kill threshold earlier on is going to be really easy for them. Although, unless he gets the items, Hellraiser's frontline is almost non-existent.
Yeah, it's going to be up to kiting. It's going to be up to nuking someone down before there's any reaction, and well, it's actually going to be an Ancient Apparition for Aftershock's last pickup, so it is going to be a core Jakiro still. They're not going to shuffle around their draft in any significant way in order to combat what they see against them, which is fine, I suppose. They have a very powerful set of heroes right now, but I think just Hellraisers, they're just so focused early game, and they also have some late game contingency. Their only vulnerability is the fact that they are so fragile, and I guess Ancient Apparition, he's good against Necrophos, and he's good against very soft heroes because of Chilling Touch. This pick is actually not the worst, and it could actually get quite a bit of traction, assuming he's on the offensive more so than he's on the defensive.
Yeah, and even on the defensive, like, just having the HF version Ice Blast flying through is going to be a very useful tool for Aftershock. Honestly, I don't think there's much of a better pick for them. As far as defensive supports, that would be useful and all, but once they pick up the Necrophos, just being able to shut down his Death Pulses and Sadist is incredibly useful to have at your disposal. Unless he has a heart, it's unlikely he's surviving at all.
Alright, so we're in the game. This is, again, guys, Game 3 of the best of 3. First two games were played yesterday. You can see on the screen, 1-1, Hellraisers, Aftershock currently tied, so winner goes on, losers goes to the losers bracket, easy peasy there. We are paused because that is what we do when we start Dota games. There is no other way to play Dota other than a gray screen at the beginning. Let's go over who's playing what. On the Hellraiser side, we have Dread, going to be handling the Vengeful Spirit. Goddamn is going to be on the Skywrath Mage. Afro Ninja is going to be playing the Zeus with Arties on the Gyrocopter, and that leaves Goretz on the Necrophos.
And on the Tower side, we are going to Aftershock Gaming with Mind Control, playing on the Brewmaster, Zeroji on the Earthshaker, Magoma on the Ancient Apparition, Jalapi playing the mid lane Viper, and Kefka on the Jakiro.
And it looks like no one has actually gotten any additional effigies, which is kind of upsetting. They're just the same as yesterday. And we already talked that one to death because I'm pretty sure there were some decently timed pauses in that game, in those previous games as well. But yeah, so this is hopefully going to get going soon, and here we go. We are going to see how these heroes are going to decide to load out and what lanes they're going to be going towards. I don't expect there to be any surprises from the aShock side. Yeah, it's just going to be Kefka most likely heading down towards bottom lane and Brewmaster mid, etc., etc. For Hellraisers, they have a little bit more flexibility, but it looks like it's still going to be relatively safe from them. Aggressive tri-lane, safe lane Necrophos. I don't think anyone should be too surprised about this.
Definitely not. I think this is more or less exactly how these lanes would be theory crafted to match up, and it looks like both teams are going to be okay with the matchups that they're getting as well. 1v1 versus Necrophos. Jakiro should be faring just fine, but isn't going to be shutting down the Necrophos super aggressively. I think all of the eyes should be up on this top lane. Brewmaster versus Zeus until level 6s come out or until rotations come to this lane. It's unlikely either of them are going to die either.
Okay, so the other lanes are just going to be passive-ish farm fests. The top lane, the action is going to be happening, and it's going to be Viper up towards the top lane for aShock. This is the hero that you kind of want to have in this defensive tri-lane. It is going to have to be played very aggressively, defensively rather. Zeroji's Earthshaker is going to have to make some pretty clutch fissures, because if anyone gets caught out without any sort of backup, a magic missile into a concussive into the rocket barrage you said before is most likely going to mean death. Viper is probably going to have to max out corrosive skin first and foremost, which is not too much of a deviation from the norm, but it's up to Hellraisers to make this fight happen. Shutting down the Viper, preventing him from farming, is pretty difficult because he has such large range, but it's certainly not impossible with the heroes that Hellraisers have.
Definitely not. And that's not to say that Hellraisers can't overextend as well. If they get caught off with a Fissure and Chilling Touch onto all three of them, it is going to be just as easy a kill for aShock. So there is some interesting aggressive potential for both sides, but I think Hellraisers are going to be the ones to open it up, and there's not going to be killing potential for aShock unless Hellraisers are looking for a kill of their own.
Alright, so they are going to be clashing up in this top lane. There is no blocking, no fissure shenanigans from Zeroji, so the creeps are actually going to meet pretty favorably for the Hellraisers at this stage in the game. Really, the aggression can start from level 1, although level 2 is when RTs should, in theory, be getting Homing Missile, which will just add another stun to the combination. aShock, they're already being zoned out, and this is going to start, and it's probably not going to end for quite a long time. Over towards the mid lane, Affinage is putting some serious hurt into Mind Control already, just with one too many Arc Lightnings. Mind Control getting chipped down really hard. He has gone for level 1 Drunken Brawler just to guarantee those crits on his last hits, but that's not going to help him that much versus the Zeus as far as evasion is concerned.
Yeah, Afro currently has a perfect CS. 8 after the first 2 waves, can't ask for much more, and with a bottle as well, being ferried back and forth, he's going to be able to maintain the Chain Lightning spam, or Arc Lightning rather, throughout this entire laning stage. Even though Brewmaster starts out with the stick, that's going to be a useful tool for him, but it's not going to help him shut down Zeus's farm at all.
And it just occurred to me that there might not actually be a spell in Dota named Chain Lightning anymore, unless I'm just missing something.
Huh.
Which is really freaking weird. There used to be like 3 skills. Goddamn on top lane's going to take a fissure, but they're going to be just fine.
I'm 90% sure the passive on Maelstrom is called Chain Lightning.
Ah,
yes, it is.
Yes, okay, there we go. There is a Chain Lightning in Dota. I mean, Razor used to have one, Zeus used to have one, everyone used to have one. It was insane. Mind Control's still taking a lot of chip damage in his mid lane. Fortunately for him, he is getting a magic stick filled up, and he has taken that as his loadout, knowing that there's going to be a Zeus in the mid lane. So Mind Control, though he's taking quite a bit of chip damage, he's still not in too much danger of dying. Zeus needs level 3, probably level 3 Lightning Bolts or level 6 total in order to get that kill. Jalopy up towards top is going to take quite a beating from RTs, but unable to dive the tower. Jalopy chopping very, very low. That's what salves are for.
Yep, and as soon as the regen's out in this lane, they are going to be in a bit of a pickle, but they still have between them 8 Tangas and a salve left, so they should be just fine. For now, we are in for a passive laning stage, and even though no kills are happening, it's still favoring Hellraisers, just because they're able to come out on top as far as CS is concerned, but it's not super significant. Gyrocopter's 4 above the Viper, Jakiro's a few behind the Necrophos, and same story in mid. So yeah, there's nothing really huge happening.
All these minor CS differences are probably going to equalize themselves once we have the first couple of fights. Then these small amounts of creep score differences are probably not going to be entirely relevant. Still towards top lane, Hellraisers haven't made a super aggressive move towards this Viper. They're leading him in CS. Actually, they're not really anymore. Magoma's going to get caught with a flat cannon. RT is going to get walled off. Not really well, though. It probably hurts more than it helps. Zeroji is now down a little bit more mana. They're not keeping the Viper off the lane enough, I think, in order to call this a success. They had the Ring of Basilius turned on. They have had it on for quite a long time, and that's actually pushing the wave pretty deeply towards the aShock. Now it's going to be onto Jalopy they go. Brewmaster at the same time taking a lot of damage over towards mid, but I think Jalopy is going to be in the most trouble here. Wall off, though. RT's suddenly all alone. Rocket Barrage does so much damage, though. Jalopy, even with the magic charges, he's going to be able to turn things around. RT's is going to take a lot of damage for the Chilling Touch. Has he overextended? It looks like the answer is yes. Magoma's going to draw first blood onto RT's. That was a beautiful fissure from Zeroji just to wall off the support of the Gyro.
It really was. In the end, Jalopy dropped low, but again, that's what salves are for. Magoma still has one running, and now top lane is a win for aShock because they secure themselves the first blood, and the CS is now in favor of Jalopy. And so it's looking good for them. Hellraisers are now hard-pressed to come out with a clean advantage in that lane. Zeus in mid, although he's really strong once he gets to levels, he doesn't have as great of a leap of power as the Blink Dagger on the Brewmaster. And although level 6 is nice, especially for that top lane to help push people over the edge, if that was involved, maybe they even kill off the Viper. But either way,
maybe that level 6 is going to be relevant. It's not quite up just yet. Brewmaster is still racing his way to level 6. They'll have it at about the same time, and once that level 6 comes up, Zeus has to be careful in this lane. A blink, or a walk up to a clap split can pretty much insta-kill a Zeus.
More or less. We'll have to see when he's going to get that. He's just one creep away if he gets the solo experience from it, and there's no reason why he shouldn't. aPhoNinja probably knows this is coming, and we'll have to see how it goes down. Level 6 tick. Now he's going to run into the split, and aPhoNinja with an Invis rune might be able to survive this. The Purge does take off the Invis rune. It's an AoE Purge, so it does hit Invis units, so well played by the Brewmaster, and will be able to secure this kill on aPhoNinja because of it.
It's going to take a little bit of time, but he will beat him down. That was pretty much as perfectly timed as you could possibly ask for. Mind Control using the clap in order to hit level 6. He had, I believe, like pretty much 130 mana or something like that, so he had just enough mana to actually cast everything as well. As far as well-timed, well-executed kills, that is just picture perfect. Put that in a textbook.
Absolutely. Down and bottom, it's the lane that we've been looking at least, mostly because it's the least interesting lane. Necrovos has his level 6, but as far as damage is concerned, killing off Chikiro, that's very unlikely. Up towards top, they've walled off Goddamn. They'll be able to kill off the Skyrath Mage, but the Rocket Barrage and the Zeus ultimate dropping everybody so low. Zeroji and Magoma surviving on very low HP, and the Gyrocopter is going to be able to chase down that Earthshaker. One support for a support and a core. Fable will trade for Hellraisers.
Until Mind Control comes in. Has a clap, though. He will get stunned first of all. Homing Missile is going to chain him up as well. He still has the clap, but he's taking a lot of damage from this Rocket Barrage. Not respecting it. He's going to charge forward for Dread. With one clap, will kill off the Vengeful Spirit. There's a lot more than I really thought. Thought he needed one more right click on top of that, but it will even up the score a little bit. Both mid lane heroes helping out in the top lane just a little bit, but I think Brewmaster is ultimately going to be the winner of that because one kill apiece. Brewmaster is still a kill ahead of the Zeus, but Zeus looking to equalize that. Kefka is not going to see this one coming. aPhoNinja is going to come in with a ton of lightning damage, and it's pretty good against flying types. Scythe is there, will not kill off Kefka outright, but it will bring him down in the end. Goreth's caught in the Ice Path, will be taking a little bit of damage, but should be just fine as well.
Yep, he'll be bottled up by the Zeus to boot. It's Hellraiser's getting on the board in a pretty significant way. Brewmaster is still leading the Zeus in experience, and he's going to have a very, very fast Blink Dagger, probably before his split cooldowns back up at his current farming rate. So Mind Control, he should be in control of this game, and should be able to, I don't know, just kind of dictate the pace, go wherever he wants to, and look for those splits, because at this point in the game, that is one of, if not the scariest ability to have on your side.
Especially when it has a Blink Dagger backup, and he has just enough money for that. Hasn't gone for any boots or upgraded boots or anything like that, just straight Blink, and up towards top. Jalopy putting some pretty serious damage onto RTs, and a little bit of chip damage onto Goddamn as well. They're feeling a lot more comfortable up on top lane, and as long as the Zeus is, Zeus's ultimate is down, they should be feeling comfortable. It's up right now, but I think Mind Control being in the lane is going to make it so that aPhoNinja is going to be playing this situation a lot more carefully. Can't just stare at top lane and wait for those Thunder God's Wraths.
Mind Control picks up that Blink Dagger, and oh, aPhoNinja. I think this is just going to be another straight kill into the Zeus. He might know that the Blink Dagger is up for the Brewmaster, but no, he's going to go all the way back to base instead. Brewmaster is going to roam down towards bottom, securing the 8-minute rune, and then potentially looking towards Goreth, or maybe just straight up into Goreth. Goreth is incredibly low.
Well, Mind Control is going to grab the rune first. His Blink Dagger was spotted out by an Observer Ward of the Radiant that was on the high ground, so they're going to know that this is coming. But are they going to know that it's actually coming right now? Zeus is, fortunately for him, in base and mind control. Looking for an opportunity over towards mid is not going to find anyone. Top lane playing defensively as well. So no one should be dying unless Hellraisers make an aggressive play up towards top, which is certainly very possible. Zeus is also heading up towards the top lane. Is there a TP scroll on mind control? There is. But he will be hurting on mana unless he decides to pop the regen to get himself back up to full.
We'll have to see how this goes down. The Zeus thought about ulting. Maybe that was just, I don't know, just clapping. I mean, that does happen if you're a Zeus. It's fairly satisfying to hear that thunder. But either way, Gort's down towards bottom, playing incredibly aggressively. The Zeus has made his way down towards here, and if they pop the Zeus ultimate now, they'll know mind control is here. Gort shows his face, and I think this means that he's dead. They're going to get the blink. Clap lands, and they do have the split. Will they even need it? Ice Path lands on the Gorts with the Liquid Fire, as well as just the beatdown from the Brewmaster. He's going to be forced to pop the split, but now the Dread TP's in. Dread's in a whole heap of trouble as well. He's going to eat the boulder to the face. He stuns up the Fire Panda, probably the best thing that he can do, playing Ring Around the Rosies. Outside of the tower, the Earthshaker's going to die in the meantime to the Skywrath Mage, as Dread is mopped up. Survives a little bit longer with stick charges, but now the Zeus ultimate is going to secure a killing spree for aPhoNinja, as all three of the heroes up top for aFtershock fall.
And this Viper, I did not notice it before, has 0 points in corrosive skin. That is just so brave, or I don't know, brave, maybe even borderline a bad move for the Viper. You need magic resistance in this game. That is, I'm pretty sure, a given. Maybe he just wants to outfight the Hellraiser side, but good luck actually getting that to happen. They're going to try to go for aPhoNinja over towards mid, just falling short of the damage. If Mind Control got one more crit there, that would have been a kill. Got, I think, one out of all of that, so kind of unlucky for Mind Control, but either way, aFtershock getting cleaned up in the top lane, not expecting the burst damage from the Gyrocopter level 3 Rocket Barrage, and the Zeus Lightning Bolt, and well, everything else that Zeus has as well. I can't help but think that this lane would be going so much better for this top lane of aFtershock if they had corrosive skin.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I'm not sure if I agree with this choice at all, and I'm pretty against it, to be honest. Either way, Gyrocopter is going to use his call down. He'll clean up a little bit of a stack for him, and Artist is farming decently well, although not overtaking the Viper by any means. The Viper's aggressive build is going to help him get kills pretty easily, and I hope that after this third point into Poison Attack, he starts going to corrosive skin.
Yeah, you need to get the corrosive skin. He's going to go for a chainmail item, most likely going to be the mech. The armor's not going to be too relevant, but you can never say no to a giant heal like that, and faster he gets that, the better for the team. And he's actually doing pretty well on the last hit chart, just like a little bit behind the Necrophos, but he's actually quite ahead, or, decently ahead. Actually, he's not ahead of the Necrophos at all, so never mind what I'm saying. He's pretty much on par with Goretz, but Goretz is going to go for a Midas. This is not going to be the fastest Midas in the world. He has purchased the Tranquil Boots beforehand. I think it's okay in this game. Neither side really has a ton of late game advantage, but I think with this Midas, Hellraisers have now a slight late game advantage.
I think that's fair to say, but do they really want to take it late? Ancient Apparition snipes off the Zeus in mid after a blink clap in from the Brewmaster, still reserving that split up towards top. Jakiro gets the Tower Destruction. And that is the power of Jakiro, level 9 in the maxed out Liquid Fire. The Jakiro is getting all sorts of levels.
Being left down on the bottom lane versus the Necrophos, it's mirrored in that regard, but certainly Jakiro could do a little bit more for the Tower Destruction than the Necrophos can, as Hellraisers have really no pushing heroes. They're going to try to take this bottom lane tower. Goretz is going to TP out, seeing it's just Mind Control. Ice Path will be thrown, but it will not connect in time. Catapult almost killing off the tower, but it will be denied in the end, so it's a 2-for-1 tower advantage in favor of aFtershock. It's one tower denied as well, and they still have the Brewmaster split, so they're going to be looking for some action, and it looks like that action is going to be happening over towards mid, where RT is going to be stalked by Zeroji, and this Gyrocopter is going to know that the rune is taken, so he knows that he might be in trouble. But does he know that he's going to be in this much trouble? Because there's quite a bit of trouble to be had. Call down is there, but Ice Blast is going to shatter RT's. Easy kill.
Yeah, Zeroji was hardly necessary there, and they hold on to their split as well. They're going to cancel the TP from Zeroji and scythe him down. Poor Earthshaker on the sidelines for 50 seconds. Zeus ultimate going to do a lot of damage to the Ancient Apparitions. They stun up Mind Control. He's still able to get off the split, however. He might be able to get one kill after this, but he really needs to back out with that Earth Panda. Chilling Touch is going to be applied by Magoma, but he's going to die to an Arcane Bolt. That was a very risky move by him. Goddamn might die to this Earth Panda. He's going to get boulder tossed up, but he needs to bail. He does have the blink after the split and should be able to get out to safety, as he's made enough distance between him and the rest of the enemy team. In the meantime, that's about it. 2 supports for 1 support, split on cooldown for aFtershock.
Man, that was really brave of the Ancient Apparition to go up like that. He barely escaped death for the first time when the Scarith Mage ran out of mana in order to chase him down with the Arcane Bolts. And then he decided to turn back in. Probably not the best move. My stream is frozen on my screen. Is it still working on your end? Could you take a quick look at that? But
yes.
Over towards mid, Ancient Apparition will snipe out the Vengeful Spirit. Then what? Why is Brewmaster there at no HP? What the hell just happened? He sniped the Venge, but
I don't know. This Brewmaster, he was going around here. He was still on low HP after the fight, and he wanted to find a jump into the enemy team, but apparently they just didn't have enough vision. I mean, they had a ward here as well. I have no idea what that was. Either way, they're going to silence up and slow Zeroji with the concussive shot. Thunderbolts are flying from the Zeus, but doesn't really have enough damage. They're going to mech themselves up, and now with the Fissure, it is going to land onto the Zeus, but swapped out by Dread. Looks like Dread's going to give up his life for this one. Kaldan lands onto a handful of heroes, as does the Mystic Flare onto Zeroji. He's going to be dropped low, but not low enough. Goddamn, tagged by the Ice Path, will be dropped down by Jalopy, as well as by the Ancient Apparition. Chikiro getting the last hit. Artist will be able to make his escape with Phase Boots, but it's going to be a favorable trade for Aftershock after a really awkward engagement with the Brewmaster.
Could have been even better for them. They decided to split their focus so many times. They were going for the Venge, or first they were going for the Zeus, got swapped out, and then Venge was there. They were going onto her a little bit, but then they gave up that for whatever reason, just trying to take the Scarith Mage down so that they get at least one kill. Ultimately not really benefit them. Kefka is going to be in a little bit of trouble, gets struck by lightning. There is a Thunder God's Wrath, but it will not be lethal. Goretz, unfortunately, a little bit out of range being held out, so he can't sight. Jalopy, where? What? Why? Sure.
That's like the third time where there's been a jump in by Aftershock that's just been so questionable. On low HP, feeling that they're a little bit stronger than they really are. Zeus Ultimate dropping Zeroji very low. Is going to survive on low HP and will TP back towards base. However, Mind Control might not be so lucky. Silenced up, he's not able to get off the split before he falls Thunderbolted down by the Zeus. Hellraisers just have such a great lineup of punishing that sort of play when you're just kind of flirting on the edge of death. They have nuke damage galore.
And that right there is why we see Scarith Mage first pick versus Brewmaster. He saw him coming in, assigned the command to silence the Brew, and he blinked in, couldn't do anything because he's silenced. So Aftershock, I have no idea what the hell is going on. This is definitely not the Aftershock that we were seeing in the group stages. This is definitely not even the Aftershock that we were seeing yesterday. They're just making so many mistakes right now, and you could say that they're questionable plays, you could say that they're outright mistakes. No matter how you slice it, these are costing them pretty big. Like, the Viper not going for Corrosive Skin, I think, is the first thing, and then just jumping in randomly, like, hey, it's a 1v4, let's do this. You're a Viper with no Corrosive Skin, only a mech. You're not going to be able to do that, probably not ever in this game, so I don't know what's going on with Aftershock, but they really have to change something, and they have to change it pretty quickly.
They do. Even though Necrophos is 2,000 net worth ahead of Aftershock, most of that's tied up inside the Midas, but Goretz is now at the same fighting potential as Aftershock and can still comfortably take it late. The advantage that Aftershock had in the early game, mostly due to the Brewmaster, has now been completely zeroed out, and the advantage is definitely on their side. Ice Path onto Goretz. They will get the Ancient Apparition effect on Goretz, but not the damage. He's going to use himself to delay a little bit of that, but with Chilling Touch, they should be able to kill him off. Ancient Apparition tags the Catapult. He's going to be able to get off one heal and a Scythe on the Magoma, but that Scythe is definitely not going to be lethal. Magoma's going to be able to TP out. No way to cancel that soon enough, but a Zeus Ultimate's going to kill him. Scratch that, as they're actually able to kill off the Brewmaster. In the meantime, Scarith Mage and Zeus having a scuffle and getting an extra kill for free.
And Zeus, Brewmaster rather, once again getting absolutely demolished by the Ancient Seal and controlling factors of the Hellraiser side. Yes, they do lose their Necrophos, probably one of, if not the worst heroes for the Hellraiser side to lose, but they also take down a Brewmaster, and this is a Brewmaster with Split available. The Brewmaster has been sitting on Split for quite a long time, and the longer you're sitting on that skill and not using it, the worse off you're going to be. So this is a lot of power for Aftershock that is kind of just sitting by, and if it's not being used, then it's actively being wasted. They need to actually use this ultimate and get something going, at the very least, to break them out of this funk that they're in. Getting a kill on the Necrophos, certainly very nice. Would have been a lot cleaner if they actually line up the Ancient Apparition ultimate properly with the Yule Scepter. Very difficult to land that combo, to be fair, but just these plays just aren't quite good enough for Aftershock. And what do they have that's going well for them? I suppose a farmed Viper, but he's not going to be able to outcarry against both a farmed Gyrocopter and a farmed Zeus and a farmed Necrophos.
Yeah, I think the window that Aftershock need to hit and hit hard is once they have Pipe on Chikiro, as well as like BKB on the Viper. And once they have that, I think they need to just start pushing and don't stop. They've been looking for these pretty sketchy engagements. Maybe they can still comfortably go for the tier 1 tower in mid if they find a good jump with Brewmaster's split. But yeah, I think more than anything, they just need to tighten up the screws.
And not get picked off. I think fortunately for them, only a handful of heroes, like 1 or 2, have been actually picked off with the scythe, so they've had a lot of uptime, they've had a lot of presence on the map. As long as they keep avoiding that, then things could be going decently for them, but Goretz now has a Yule Scepter. He's moving pretty darn fast. Still a hero that is possible to die since he has such low amounts of HP, but it will take aShock quite a while if they can't actually lock him down, and Shaker's the only one who really has any hardcore stuns. Jakiro has Ice Path level 4, which is okay, but I don't think it's quite enough, and we'll see if it's going to be enough, or Mind Control maybe is going to experience that firsthand. There's an Invis rune on Mind Control. He's going to actually split. What? He was invisible. What is going on with Mind Control, man?
I don't know. Maybe his mind is being controlled by Hellraisers. I don't know.
Conspiracy. It's all conspiracy. Mind controlled, confirmed. Kefka up on top lane is going to set up for an Ice Path Macro Pyre onto RT. He's taking quite a bit of damage himself. In fact, more than he's actually delivering. Here comes Zeroji and Jalopy. Fissure is going to throw and will be thrown a little bit wide. Ice Path the same exact direction. Artis is going to make it a clean escape. That would have been a difficult kill to take anyway. But seriously, Mind Control has had the split for so long, and he just hasn't been able to use it because he's constantly been running into situations that are very easily avoidable. You just walk right through, or you blow the smoke, you back off, you try to figure out if the enemy has any detection. Odds are they probably won't because you don't have any invisible heroes on your team. Maybe they have stray sentries, but you're going to be able to avoid that with a Blink Dagger. There was no chance he was able to come out ahead on that. Like, there was no justification there, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think there was. Blink Dagger now on the Necrophos. The initiation coming out from a Blink Duelist Necrophos isn't as great as like a Death Prophet or Lina, anything that actually has something to straight up set up with the Yule Scepter, but it is going to increase Goretz's chasing power and ability to initiate with the Reaper's Scythe. It's a bit of an awkward build. I would have liked to see the Yules replaced by the Atos, but to each his own, and it's going to be working just fine for him. He has enough gold to where that choice doesn't really impact things negatively.
Yeah, so he's going to be able to get pretty much whatever item he wants following this, and maybe eventually Yule Scepter is going to be sold for that Atos. Who knows what's going to happen there. Something that is noteworthy is that Hellraisers have a pretty sizable stack of Ancients in their camp right now, as Goddamn's going to be jumped by the Jakiro. He's fast enough and tanky enough to survive this, or at least he should be. It's going to be very close. Dot damage, 36 HP, he lives. Where's the Ice Blast? Here comes the Sniper. Goddamn, you better make some sick jukes, or just walk in a straight line. That's good too, and he will live. So aShock dropping the Skywrath Mage very low, but if Jakiro can't kill off him, then and Jakiro can't kill off anyone right now. They're going to take down a tower. Maybe they're going to find this 1, 2, 3 stack of Ancients, but right now it's going to be Mind Control to get dropped down to less than half HP. He will get the tower. Dread looking for a swap back. Thinking about Jalopy. Will do it onto Jalopy as they do throw the Zeus ultimate. Call down now is going to land onto absolutely no one. Goretz's going to charge forward, looking for a Scythe into Mind Control. Will get it right before the split, and it will kill him off in the end. Actually, Dread's wave will do it, so he's not going to be amplified with that kill timer, but it's still a kill on the Brewmaster before he gets a split off. Kefka, in the meantime, being chased down. He's going to try to Ice Path TP, and it will make it happen. Just barely. But still, aShock, they take the tower, but yet again, it's Mind Control to fall.
Yeah, it is, and I thought this hero would completely run away with the game. He started out, if I'm not mistaken, like 3-0-0, but after that he's just been picked off so many times, at least in the last couple of minutes, at least 4, or at least it feels like it. He's been sitting on these same items for the longest of times. He just now picks up the Ogre Club, but he's had that point booster for probably 8 minutes now.
And it's still going to be even longer for him to complete up this Aghanim Scepter if he keeps dying like this. They're going to lose a tower up on the top lane. They might catch Goddamn here. In fact, they will with the Yule Scepter Ice Path. And there it is. Ice Blast, no Macro Pyre even needed. Viper with the 2 points. Nether Toxin is going to take out the Skywrath Mage. Minor loss there for the Hellraisers, but they're still doing well on so many other fronts that they're probably going to be okay with that loss. They're probably not going to be okay with this tower loss, though. This is something that they definitely should be willing to fight. They have Goretz teleporting in, and then he's going to leave, so he's not spotted right now, but do they know that there's Heartstopper? No, there's actually no creeps here either, so that was actually pretty nice from Goretz. He's still hidden right now.
I believe when you're hidden, it's kind of like Assault Cuirass Aura, where it doesn't show, like, on the status bar of the creep, so if it's paused, you wouldn't be able to tell. I don't know, I could be completely wrong.
I thought you'd be able to see. Maybe there's a creep in range? No? That's out of range too. Maybe we just don't know. The range is pretty darn huge. I don't know if he's in range of these neutral creeps to the top.
It's 900. He shouldn't be.
We'll see.
It's,
I don't know.
It's just on the edge. I don't think it is. I think it stops like, oh, I can't actually draw, huh? I think it's like here.
Right on the top of that tree line? It seems a little bit larger than that. I don't know. It doesn't matter anyway. The fact of the matter is I'm pretty sure aFShock do not know that there is Goretz here. There is no Thunder God's Wrath for another 15 seconds. There is no Scythe for another 15 seconds. So that probably means that there's going to be no kill for another 15 seconds. Kefka and Jalopy and Magoma, they should be feeling comfortable to stay here. They see RTs. Maybe they're even going to get baited into this. With the Blink counter initiation from Necrophos, things can get really bad from aFShock really quickly if they decide to go for this.
Yeah, 15 seconds is definitely enough to wait out. I think you could like just feasibly drop a call down, delay out the creeps, and then after that maybe look juicy by the tier 2 tower. And then if they jump on you and they're just a little too low, they'll get snagged by that Reaper's Scythe, which does do a pretty significant damage now. Not half damage, it's closer to like 25%. After resistances, especially on the Jakiro who's packing a hood, but and Crosis on the Viper. Maybe it's not so easy to kill these two.
It's going to be Magoma who's the target. The Ancient Apparition should be playing this very far away. There is Call Down and maybe going to be Rocket Barrage depending on when this actually starts off. As far as support coming in for aFShock, Mind Control is nowhere nearby. Zeroji is heading down there, but he is currently pretty close to his Blink Dagger, and he really doesn't want to be dying right now so close to that item, so it may be that he just is going to abandon this path down to the bottom lane and will decide to go up towards top, where there is some farm to be had, and if Shaker gets a Blink Dagger from aFShock, maybe then he could take up some of the initiation slack for aFShock.
Maybe, just maybe. Yeah, for now we're paused, and no explanation, so that's always great. I love it when teams do that.
Yeah, well, at least this time, we're not, like, sitting there without lanes or anything like that. We can actually look at more stuff, which is sometimes going to be very nice. The Necrophos is going to go for a BKB, it seems, whereas Goddamn, on his way to his Force Staff. Artis has actually not been getting that much farm at all. He almost has a BKB 22 minutes into the game as his first item. He's more on the lower end of the net worth chart as far as where Gyrocopter would like to be. If you could switch him and Zeus, then he's going to be pretty happy. He's not that far behind everyone, to be fair. He just doesn't seem like he has a lot of gold, and it doesn't seem like it's very useful. Once he clears out this Ancient stack, it will be a little bit of acceleration in that regard, but so far, he hasn't really made any movement towards that area, mostly because aFShock have pulled his attention away elsewhere all the time.
Definitely. Right now, we do have the Necrophos back into this game, and let's see how this fight goes down in the bottom lane, or if it's even going to break out at all. Let's see, aFShock might just decide to back out of this bot lane, but for now, they'll probably put at least one Liquid Fire with this next creep wave. Goretz is going to get close to being spotted out. They open up with the Eul's Scepter onto the Gyrocopter, followed up by the Blink Euls onto the Jakiro. Kefka's going to eat one Death Pulse, so that's about it. All the Goretz can drop. Call Down is going to completely whiff, and for now, aFShock look like they'll be able to make a clean retreat and maybe even a turn. It is currently 4v4, and now Mind Control jumps into the Blink Clap onto 3. Perfect initiation. Nice Fissure landing on the Afro Ninja. Ancient Apparition Ice Blast lands through. Doesn't really connect on anything but Afro Ninja, and honestly, that's all that needed to hit, because he's going to be dropped down. Purge back down to the ground on the Dread. He's going to eat a boulder to the face, and now the beatdown commences. aFShock, after a lot of sketchy engagements, show the power of their teamfight ultimates.
Man, their support got there a lot faster than I really thought. Like, Joji and Mind Control were in the mid lane and were in the river area, but all of a sudden they were here, and they had just enough time to actually reinforce and take a very nice fight. Finally, the split was being used, and would you figure the split actually helped them out quite a bit. I mean, like, who could have thought? They're going to keep pushing with this one, though I don't think they could get that much done with 22 seconds left on the clock for the Necrophos. There is another call down available by the Hellraisers. Their initiation power right now is pretty much nil, so it's just a matter of how much damage aFShock are going to be getting on this tower before they have to fall back. It looks like it's going to be pretty decent. This tower might even go down if they decide to play this really greedy, and at this point, they probably should make a more risky play. Fissure to disengage, and Zeroji is going to be just fine unless there's a swap from Dread. No vision. He's going to get back to base, 10 gold away from his Blink Dagger. He will secure that for himself, and aFShock take a tower, take a really nice team fight, and put a lot of hurt into a tier 3. That's a pretty sizable win for them.
It really is. 190 damage, that's pretty much ideal for that tier 3. It is going to stop Hellraisers from denying it, even though they probably wouldn't, even if it was in deny range. It's pretty much there for the taking. If they win another fight just like that, tier 3, and then possibly range barracks are going to fall exactly after that. Liquid Fire would be all that they need to end that tier 3 tower's life.
Well, Hellraisers, The moral of this story, I suppose, is don't take fights when you don't have all your members right there. Try not to get split upon by the Brewmaster, because that always results into bad things. They're going to try to smoke up and go for the mid lane. Jalopy, maxed out corrosive, mech, point booster. Is a very tough nut to crack, but with 4 heroes coming here, including a Scythe, I think this kill is certainly very possible. Jalopy's going to turn around for a Viper Strike, because why the hell not? Mystic Flare, Scythe, that's an easy kill.
Yep. Ice Path going to drop by the Jakiro, but Kefka needs to book it. Currently forced out forward by Afterninch. Thunderbolts to ground. Doesn't actually connect onto Kefka. Blink forward by the Necrophos. Going to drop a Death Pulse into him, but doesn't have a Scythe anymore, so can't pursue that kill. It's just going to be a clean pick for Hellraisers, and that Viper is down for quite a long time. This is the strength of Necrophos when we're actually able to connect with those.
And being helped out a lot by the Mystic Flare as well. It's only level 1 skill, but it still does do a hell of a lot of damage, even through that corrosive skin. Not many heroes that can withstand that. Viper usually is one of them, but not with Scythe on top. If you drop a little bit too low, suddenly you're gone, and suddenly you're gone for a very, very long time. So Viper, his Aghanim Scepter is going to be slowed down as well. Taking a quick look at the Aghanim situation of Brewmaster, it is pretty much non-existent. The casual point booster, as it now is going to be, is just going to sit in his inventory as he's going to transition into a BKB. Honestly, this should have been his item from the get-go, up against the stuns of the Vengeful Spirit and the silence of the Scarith Mage. You need to get your split out, and BKB is going to ensure that almost 100% of the time. The only thing that goes through that BKB is going to be the Scythe, but if you Scythe the Brewmaster to cancel his split, you're not going to be doing any damage with that Scythe, and he's probably going to get the split out anyway.
Yeah, I understand, or understood the thought process from Mind Control when he first got the point booster. It was like 10 minutes in, and, or not 10, that might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was really close. It was like 11 when he had like Blink, point booster, bottle, TP. He was looking great, and I don't know, just died one too many times after the fact, and now BKB is mandatory. At this point, ideally, he'd have both of them if the game went how he planned.
Yeah, I think that's fair. He had a really good start. Usually you want to keep up a great early start, not with defensive items, with offensive items, and Aghanim Scepter is kind of both, honestly, so it's the best of both worlds. You don't really want to be getting BKB until it's needed, and I would say right now it's definitely needed. I would say probably 5-10 minutes ago it was needed. They're going to be scouted out doing this Roshan by Thunder God's Wrath, but Mech is going to absolve them of all of that damage. Now they have a double life in the Brewmaster, so even if Mind Control takes a really, really questionable play, he'll be right back up, and then his split, at that point, should be guaranteed in a fight. The only question is whether or not it's going to be relevant, which is a different question entirely, and one that remains to be seen, of course, determined by positioning mostly.
For sure. Right now, we're getting close to that window I was talking about earlier in the game, where we have BKBs coming out for Aftershock. Mind Control is going to be getting his very shortly, and the pipe is done on the Jakiro, working presumably towards a Force Staff as his next item. Yeah, it's looking good for them. They definitely have tools at their disposal to take fights, even though they're up against a pretty darn farm Necrophos. Goret's 2,000 that gold, again, is tied up inside that Hand of Midas, and he does have a completed BKB on top of this, and they can't comfortably take it any later than this, but for now, their supports are doing a lot more than the counterparts on Hellraisers, even though defensive swaps are nice, and what have you. Vengeful Spirit more often not just dies, and after Mystic Flare, it's a similar story for Skywrath.
Well, Aftershock, they're going to look to defend their top lane. Ice Blast is going to come through, will actually clip onto Aponinge. Ice Path as well. Zeus just commits suicide, doesn't want to waste his time. Arteez is also going to straight TP out of there. I don't think Zeus really needed to straight suicide, but sure, why not?
I think he would have been forced to use it later, but he probably could have wasted a little bit more time with Aftershock. If you are chain stunned perfectly, you won't be able to get it off, so I suppose they force TPs and don't give up a proper kill towards the enemy team, although he just sacrificed 3 of his fresh Bloodstone charges, which is unfortunate for Aponinge.
Yeah, it's not going to be the biggest loss in the world. Zeus, though he is reliant on mana, with Bloodstone, usually you're going to be just fine as far as your mana output, or your mana requirements, and your mana regeneration together. Goretz is actually going to blink right on top of Mind Control. We'll throw him up to the air, but then respawn Yules from Kefka. Macropyre, Ice Path, Clap as well. I don't know if Goretz has enough to escape this. In fact, sitting in the Macropyre still can't quite get away from that pool of fire and is going to be going down. Just unfortunate blink from Goretz. If he wasn't... Oh, goddamn. Do they know he's here? It seems like they might. Don't move,
they
goddamn.
Smell
Don't breathe.
Something.
He's fine.
Okay. Yeah, he's gonna live, although that Ice Path was like just on the tip. I'm not sure if he could actually see that Ice Path. He probably shouldn't be able to, but if he did, like, that's a butt clincher right there.
And Necrophos down for 40 seconds. He has no buyback as he just bought out for a BKB, but he's really kicking himself for that one because this is at the very least going to be a tier 3 tower destroyed. Not much that Hellraisers can do about that. They'll throw a call down most likely once the creep wave is incoming. There it is. But Liquid Fire plus just Pipe just to block all that damage, and this tower is going to fall. Mind Control also is going to be waiting for initiation. His Blink Dagger is consistently cancelled by HeflaTV. Looks like he will use his Aegis right now. Gets mech'd up with one more Bolt or Thunder God's Wrath. That'll do it too. Is going to pop the Aegis. Still the melee Rax is in trouble. 7 seconds until Necrophos is back up. Are Aftershock going to leave, or are they going to want to engage a fight? They have Blink, Clap, Blink, Echo Slam, and they can, in theory, do it, and now it's going to go in, but Mind Control gets silenced immediately, gets hit with the missile, and now he's going to be chain stunned in the Mystic Flare. He's going to go down, and Goretz in the middle of everything is also going to get the scythe onto Jalopy. That's going to be 3 down for Aftershock. Kefka, the last one to survive, as the Ancient Apparition is nowhere near this anymore. Kefka is going to be brought down after throwing out an Ice Path onto something. It's going to be 4 for 0, and Aftershock, they almost get the melee Raxes, but because it's so close, that just means it's going to be regenerating that much more HP.
Horseshoes and hand grenades for Aftershock. Close doesn't cut it. That Brewmaster, he had a BKB in his stash. That doesn't help you. That would have been a completely different fight if he had Black King Bar. Honestly, I think they probably could have just split with the Brewmaster and then ran the Brewlings towards the other side. The clap damage is nice, but I think they just needed him to run interference. Throw somebody up in the air, stun another one, and that would have been melee barracks destruction. But in the end, it's a train wreck for Aftershock.
When you're in that situation, the name of the game is buy time, and Brewmaster is actually a fantastic hero at doing that. You have a stun that's, you know, point click, very easy to land unless you just fat finger it. There's a Cyclone, which is also going to take an enemy out for a hell of a long time, and there's no way that Hellraisers can actually prevent that. So, yeah, I think that would have been the correct play. You just split when you're right next to the Raxes, charge forward. You're probably not going to be dying in that situation, since the amount of damage that Hellraisers can put out to your Brewlings is very restricted. The Fire one is certainly in danger because of magic damage, but that's about it. That would have pretty much guaranteed Aftershock Raxes. Instead, they take a tier 3 tower, and they take a massively lost team fight. This game could have been so much more different if these small plays could have been made.
Yeah, it definitely could have. Lucky enough for Aftershock, they have an Aghanim Scepter on Magoma, now with a level 2 ultimate on top of that. And their Earthshaker has a level 11 and a Blink Dagger too. So even though if you look at the net worth, it looks kind of nasty for Aftershock, because of their cores not getting that much farm, I think they're making up for it because their supports have a decent amount. They're by no means out of this game yet, but my goodness, that could have been a completely different story. They're going to smoke up, look for a wraparound in Hellraisers. This could be a disaster of a similar magnitude of what we saw in bottom if they connect with the beautiful team fight ultimates. Let's see, they are fairly grouped up. A Zeus ultimate's going to know that they're smoked, and they know exactly where they are. Hellraiser's going to book it. They drop a call down. BKB pop by Mind Controller. He's going to get scythe, but that doesn't do any damage. Gets a clap. Now the split is dropping low, but not low enough. Artist getting a decent amount of damage off with the flat cannon, but also just not enough. All he has is that Demon Edge to bolster it. They're going to Magic Missile up to Fire Panda. Will deny a little bit of damage from the Brewmaster inside his foot, but they lose their Gyrocopter anyway. Vengeful Spirit also going to pay the price for her defensive swap. Scarlet Mage makes it in base, but ends up shattering there as well, since he didn't get that regen, and they spot out Goretz as well. They can't actually pursue this Necrophos, but Aftershock still win the fight and hold on to their Earthshaker Echo Slam as well.
Man, the difference between a BKB Brewmaster and not having that BKB is night and day. Of course, he did take a Scythe for the team, and that is something that, as I said before, you can Scythe the Brewmaster, and that will go through BKB as a stun, but you are not going to be able to kill him because you don't have the physical damage, and Brewmaster shrugging that one off in the BKB, got the split off, and then caused havoc thereafter. Also, the Gyrocopter kind of isolated from the rest of the team, couldn't really do that much. So, overall for Aftershock, that was a really well-fought fight up on the top lane. Unfortunately, the objective is on bottom, on the enemy side of the map, so actually getting there and then taking the objective is going to be quite risky, as Mind Control is going to blink forward, has no BKB, will get piped up, so he's going to take a little bit more of this punishment, but he's going to get silenced. Now he's going to get force staffed out, but it might not be a little bit too late. Scythe is going to kill him off, the Ice Blast is going to kill off Dread in the meantime, but that's the steep price to pay. Goretz being body blocked by Zeroji, but they have to worry about HeflaTV throwing out a lot of lightning off in the sidelines. Goretz is going to take him one-man Echo Slam, and now he might be going down. Kefka just going to fall short of damage, and he will be going down as well. Aftershock, they way too far overextend, especially that Brewmaster, once again making an extremely questionable play, jumping up to that high ground all by himself. Hello?
Oh dear, sorry about that. My goodness, yeah, I really don't understand those last couple of engagements from Aftershock. I think they should have just been, I don't know, pushing up top lane, go for a tier 2 tower there. stall out, going for those barracks, even though they're exposed, and it's a lot easier than beforehand. They don't get any lasting damage, and especially without a BKB or split on the Brewmaster, taking fights is so much harder.
I could kind of understand aFshock's line of thought there. They know that they're behind. They might as well try to go for Hail Mary, since a set of Raxes can not completely equalize the game, but bring it right back so that aFshock can make a follow-up play down the line. It's the type of play that they really need, but not exactly the right play that they need. Goretz is going to walk right into an Ice Ball. It looks like that won't be lethal. He'll be just fine, but Artie's in the back end. He has an Invis Rune. There is sentry coverage here for the Radiant, but not for the Dire, and there's no detection, so it looks like everyone's going to be just fine, but they're setting up for a jump on Jalopy and Zeroji, it looks like. Or are they? Maybe they just need a little bit more time to heal up Goretz, and yeah, they're just going to back off, so never mind about that, but aFshock, they have yet to take any of these other lanes' tier 2 towers. They need to get something, and that something is not going to be this team fight. They're going to get annihilated from the get-go. Mindcontrol's actually going to pop the BKB before the Scythe, and he's going to be just fine. Dreadcon, the Macro Pyre, is going to be going down first. RT's in the meantime doing a lot of damage to everyone with that flat cannon. But once again, he's isolated from the rest of his team, and he's going to be brought down. aFshock are taking a surprisingly decent fight because of the fast fingers of the Brewmaster. He's going to catch Goddamn on the retreat as well. They have a Cyclone, and they will use it. Setting up for an Ice Path, then it will land. Goddamn, now completely surrounded. He's going to be going down. That's a 3 for 0 in favor of aFshock. I thought Mind Control for sure would have gone down there, but the Scythe came out just a little bit too slowly. It ended up crashing once again into a BKB.
Yeah, Roshan's going to respawn in 120, so it's not going to be available for aFshock immediately, but I don't know, it seems like both of these teams just trading blows. Whenever they go on the aggressive, they end up getting punished. Both teams' ability to capitalize on mistakes in positioning is pretty immense. And yeah, fast fingers on Brewmaster, absolutely saving aFshock's bacon. Mind Control is no closer to his Agnum Scepter than he has been for the last couple of minutes, but now, is Agnum Scepter even the right choice? I'm not sure. They are looking to catch it. Afroninja looking for the TP. That's going to be denied by Yule's Scepter into Macro Pyre Ice Path, and Afroninja is completely dead. He is going to get snagged by Suicide. He ends up wasting a couple of their ultimates. But either way, it's still going to be Zeus off of the map and only at 8 Bloodstone charges.
Yeah, but because he is at 8 Bloodstone charges post-suicide, that means that his respawn timer is going to be really low. He does have an ultimate by the time he will be back up. aFshock looking for a Roshan there, though I think this Roshan is certainly capable for Hellraisers to take a fight in that area. They have a level 3 cooldown. They have Gyrocopter who's doing quite a bit of damage. As long as he has some backup in Dread being nearby, close enough to swap him out, then this could be a nice fight for the Hellraisers. Otherwise, aFshock, they're going to smoke up, and they're going to wrap around into the enemy jungle. With Kefka leading the way, this is certainly a nice opportunity for aFshock. Will Zeus, once again, use his ultimate and scout this out? They probably are going to, and yes, they will do just that. No secrets here. It's going to be Kefka charging forward, and he's going to be completely surrounded in a hurry. Archie's, though, once again isolated out in the middle of nowhere. Brewmaster's going to get split off. Goretz, in the meantime, zoning out Zeroji and Magoma. Both BKBs are up on everyone, so they're not taking that much damage. It's going to be Kefka taking probably the most. No, Archie's is going to get hit with the Ice Blast. Now he's going to shatter Goretz, trying to look for a kill on Jalopy, but it's not going to do enough with this damage with the Scythe. Yule's Scepter will save him for a little while, but he has the Ice Effect on him, and he will be going down as well. Dread, in the meantime, surrounded by all of aFshock, and he's going to be beaten down. Zeroji might die to this one. Yes, Concussed Shot is going to kill him off. Magoma, Jalopy so low. Teleport out, going to fail, as Mind Control still in the BKB is now beating down onto Goddamn with a couple crits here and there. He will get that kill. Now it's going to be a duel between him and Affinage. Magoma, don't show your face. No, Magoma's going to die because he went just a little bit too far out. Affinage might be able to beat back this Brewmaster, but it's going to be close. Blink out of that lightning, and Mind Control is going to make a safe decision. He will back off. It's going to be a 4-for-4 trade. My god, that was a lot more even than it really seemed.
It did. The big winners in that last fight are going to be the Zeus and the Brewmaster, both getting about 1,000 gold from the last engagement. Zeus is going to commit that into a Dagon, and Brewmaster still has yet to decide what he's going for. 2,000 gold. He might just straight up buy the Agnum Scepter once he hits 3k, or he has something else in mind. Maybe going for an AC for the team.
And those items won't be too terrible for anyone, really. So, after all that, Viper's holding on to quite a bit of gold. Ancient Apparition has 2,000 gold as well. Earthshaker, not that much. Jakiro is actually holding on to a lot of items, but not that much gold after that. Gyrocopter didn't actually collect that much. He was actually the first one to fall just because he was isolated. He got the surround on the Jakiro, but then the Gyrocopter was also surrounded when he did that, so trading position for position, and you don't really want to be surrounded as Gyrocopter when you don't have anything more than an MKB and a BKB. Probably not going to be good enough. So Hellraisers and aFshock still pretty much evenly matched. I guess there is the fact that Thunder God's Wrath didn't really do any damage because it doesn't run. I don't believe it does damage when you run it into smoke, but I don't know if that would have made the difference.
Yeah, neither do I. I was actually pretty surprised that AFTERSHOCK did take that fight, since they were scudded up by the Zeus ultimate. Right now, they are going to be spotted with a long swap on a Jalopy. He's able to pop the BKB, however, and that's going to absorb the scythe. They will get the split off from the Brewmaster, and Jalopy's still standing strong, although at about half HP. The Flat Cannon's doing a decent amount of work with the MKB, but Artist just isn't taking enough. Jalopy going to drop low. There's an Echo Slam that's flubbed by Zeroji. It looks like his Blink Dagger was cancelled by a concussive shot, and that's going to be AFTERSHOCK now in the retreat. Magoma will avoid a Mystic Flare, and Brewmaster's going to be back in his form. Magoma's going to drop to a couple more Arcane Bolts, and now Mind Control up the river without a paddle is behind 4 enemy heroes, and it's going to be a full 5-man wipe in the favor of Hellraisers. Buyback forced out by the Jakiro and the Brewmaster.
They need to do this if they want to contest Roshan. In fact, everyone and their mom is going to be buying back right now. Goddamn, no bash. Roshan, no bash one time. There we go. He's going to be teleporting back to the base. AFTERSHOCK, they take a lost team fight. They have to buy back with 4 heroes. And are they going to actually do anything with it? Yes, they prevent Hellraisers from going for Roshan, but they can't go for Roshan themselves. They can't even take a team fight right now because they don't have a split from Mind Control. This might just be a lot of gold wasted, and now their Roshan is being interrupted by Hellraisers. This is a ton of wasted gold by AFTERSHOCK. They're going to try to charge forward, look for someone. It's going to be the Jakiro, thrown up into the air by Goretz. He's going to pop the BKB, charge forward for this dragon, though he doesn't have quite enough because of the pipe from Kefka. He will be forced to fall back, Goretz. BKB down, but it's still going to be up shortly. AFTERSHOCK, they have the Viper back up. Hellraisers, they have the Gyrocopter back up as well. Roshan still surviving, and I don't know if either team can actually safely take this without first taking a team fight. There's a split in 13 seconds, and if they take a fight before then they're just going to lose. Magoma might get sniped. No, he will be just fine, avoiding the majority of Mystic Flare. Mind Control is going to jump in onto 2. Has no split yet, but he's going to pop the BKB now, trying to go for Goretz. Ice Blast is going to come in, which will land onto Goretz. Now with the split, they might be able to kill off this Necrophos. He's going to throw himself into the air with the Eul Scepter. Already the Vengeful Spirit is dead. Kefka going to take a full sight to the face. Goretz, though, will be the trade 1 for 1, or 2 for 1, rather. Goddamn Aphroninge have to get themselves a little bit more space. Here comes the Wind Panda. Has another Cyclone. Will throw it onto Goddamn, as Artie is actually going to get clipped by Jalopy. He's going to pop the BKB so that he doesn't take that much damage from the Viper, but still he's in quite a bit of trouble as BKB is now down. AFTERSHOCK can continue this fight if they really so choose to do so. They have another Echo Slam in 10 seconds. Jalopy might be left behind a little bit too far, though. He's going to turn around for Aphroninge, putting some serious damage into the Zeus. Zeroji looking for a blink angle in, but doesn't have another blink dagger. Jalopy's going to try to TP out, and he will be successful in doing so. BKB holding for just long enough. Zeroji also will get his way out of there. AFTERSHOCK take a decent enough fight, but it's definitely not good enough, as Hellraisers, they're still healthy enough to try to go for Roshan, but I think AFTERSHOCK are also healthy enough to try to deny this.
Looks like the stream might be lagging a little bit, but my goodness, if they didn't kill off the Necrophos there, that could be all but over for AFTERSHOCK. Ancient Apparition, Ice Blast, landing on a 3, jumped by Mind Control, gets the clap, and doesn't have a split, so he's not actually able to do very much after this, except for kill God down. Gyrocopter Chick's down, and now Goretz also pretty darn low. If they kill him now, that could be huge, and he will. Earthshaker snipes him with the fissure, and will be able to make that 3 heroes down with no buyback, and now Dread's going to make that 4 more than likely, as he has nothing else to do other than man fight against them. It's Zeus against the world for the next 50 seconds. What a topsy-turvy game.
Now that's the fight that AFTERSHOCK wanted. That's the fight that they've been waiting for this entire time, and I think not only in that last fight, but also in this game in general, MVP for AFTERSHOCK. If the Ancient Apparition wasn't in this game with an Aghanim'd Ice Blast, they would have lost, for sure, by now. They would not be able to take these fights without having such a large denial of health regen from the Necrophos, denying his Sadist charges, denying those Death Pulse heals. It's just insane how much value Magoma is actually providing to the team, and he's by far doing the most work on the AFTERSHOCK side. Without him, AFTERSHOCK would have lost the game by now.
Definitely. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the stream. It looks like we are potentially lagging a little bit.
I'm not dropping frames.
Yeah, I think it's on Hitbox's end, which is very unfortunate. It means that we can't do anything but barrel through. So bear with us as we continue to do this game, and it should be a pretty exciting one. So hopefully everything's coming through cleanly.
Everyone, turn it off and turn it back on again. Hit the refresh button. It should be on your end. Try switching quality. From my end, everything is perfectly fine, so if anything is actually wrong, then, as Grandis said, nothing we could do about that, so I guess, Hitbox, why? Please cooperate for us. This game is still going to be going on. It's still pretty much anyone's game, though now Aegis is going to be held by the Viper. Hellraisers, if they get, once again, a fight where their positioning isn't just absolutely pitch perfect, then things can get really bad for them. Or same thing for aFShock, I suppose, even if they have the Aegis. I think the amount of value... Where am I going with this? Never mind. How am I going to word this? My god. It will be the Ancient Apparition Ultimate to determine how well aFShock are actually going to fight. That
yeah, I think
like
that's
English.
fair to say. It was English. Confirmed. Magoma, I think he has been the MVP and pretty much the only reason why aFShock are still in this game. His ultimates have been pretty on point, and without that effect, there's probably no way that aFShock can actually take those engagements. If it lands onto nobody, I think that Hellraisers win that fight 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, it has to land onto 3 people in order for aFShock to have a very serious edge. 2 people will be more or less an even fight. EXP earned, gold earned, slowly crawling back to the 0 mark. This game is getting remarkably even. Jalopy, this time, he's going to be on the front lines, just slowly chipping away once again at the melee racks. This could be a mistake from aFShock, assuming Hellraisers make a play for this eventually, but they're so far not doing so. Jalopy's doing some serious work with the random illusion room that he found, dropping the Raxes down fairly low. But melee Raxes low don't actually mean anything unless they actually bring them down. Zeroji looking for an angle to initiate. Thunder God's Wrath is going to find him out. He's going to force that back to safety, and the mech is going to nullify all the damage from the Zeus ultimate. aFShock, they still have this Aegis, and they're going to continue on with this push. They need Liquid Fire on the Raxes. If they were going for range, they would have had it by now. And who knows how this game would be a little bit different if they went for that like 10, 15 minutes ago. But still, everything is surviving for now for Hellraisers. They need their opening soon. Oh man, this is so tense.
It is. This game actually lies on a razor edge, and as soon as anybody finds a clean opening, it could all be over. This melee barracks dropping low. They're going to drop Jalopy of his Aegis, and now the 5 lives you see now are the only 5 lives you're going to get, bar buybacks, which I don't think there are any on the Radiant side. Viper is in fact the only hero with buyback in this game. Melee barracks is going to be denied by the Zeus. Still a win for aFShock. They can back out and be happy with what they've gotten as long as they don't lose too much on the retreat. Earthshaker Yule's up, it'll be forced out. Call down lands onto nothing. They do missile up Jalopy, but he turns for a Viper Strike, and that's going to be the end of that.
Alright, so it is so far a win from aFShock. They have used their Aegis and traded it in for a melee barracks, and I think that's going to be fine for aFShock right now. As you said, this game is so close that forcing a fight when you don't have any sort of clear advantage, whether item advantage or positional advantage, is going to be unnecessarily risky. In these quarters, it's a little bit easier for Ancient Apparition to hit a decent ultimate, but he was really close to his team, so the, I guess, tracker thing is going to be very small. The AoE of the spell is going to be very small, so it's a nice little win for aFShock, and now they're going to have to worry about how do we do this for the other sets of Raxes. How do we break the base? And I don't think the answer is really clear unless they take a decent team fight, and I don't think they're going to take an amazing team fight unless either they get just very fortunate or they wait for another Roshan.
Yeah. While we have a little bit of time where both teams are farming up, we can take a look at the golden experience graphs, and it tells pretty perfectly the story of this game. It's actually the stock market. It's up and down all the time. There is... I don't know. I'm not sure how to explain this. 3-2-2.
Yeah, 3-2-2 squared. Everyone is 3-2-2ing. It's the question of who can throw harder, who can catch better, slightly. I don't know. Take a quick look at the items in this game. There is now a pickup of the Aghanim Scepter on Goreth, so Scythe is now going to be backbreaking. If he lands that onto the Viper, it might just be all over for aFShock unless they take a good fight outside of that. Goddamn, with an ultimate orb, not going to translate that into anything just yet. There is an upgraded Dagon now, all the way up to level 5 from the Zeus. This is actually kind of surprising. Yes, he'll be able to do a lot of damage to one person, but I don't know if that's entirely worth it, because that's pretty much all his contribution is going to be, trying to one-for-one the opponent, and I'm not sure if that's the best course of action. Other items that are noteworthy, not that many, in all honesty. Like, on the aFShock side, they don't have any huge, big-ticket, high-impact items. No, they really don't. Monkey King Bar was the last pickup for Gyrocopter, and he's been sitting in that for quite some time. 3,300 gold, it looks like. It's gonna be a Manta style for him? I don't know. Is Artist actually going to go for something different? Well, Ultimate Orb, Sheepstick, probably not the item you want to be building on Gyrocopter. It's always good for the team, but not exactly what you want. Lincoln Sphere, a possibility, but no, I think it's just going to be a Manta style. That's the only one that really makes sense. I have Scotty's fine on Gyrocopter, but I don't know if he'll be able to get that in good time.
Yeah, I think that's my reservation as well. I don't really like the choice of Gyrocopter, to be honest. I think going for Lifesteal or Butterfly is better.
Oh man, Helm of the Dominator right now would be sweet. Maybe not with working up against the chilling effect. Maybe that's going to dissuade him from going for that a little bit. But you need some sort of survivability if you're the Gyrocopter, and Lifesteal generally is the standard way to go. It's probably not going to be this game, but any sort of survivability you can get is going to be fantastic. It's going to be smoke up for Aftershock. AFONINJ is constantly scouting up the high ground with lightning bolts. Maybe he'll eventually catch someone. Looks like it's not necessary. Smoke is going to be blown, and Aftershock, their gank is going to fail. Are they still going to go for this one? This is a tier 2 tower that Hellraisers may just end up sacrificing. AFONINJ is close, but without Goretz here, I think this tower might just be forfeit.
Yeah, I think that's fair. If he gets the Scotty at a decent timing, I'm all for getting that extra tank and chasing power. Zeus is flirting with going for the ultimate, but he hasn't actually thrown it out yet. He'll pull off the creep aggro, but it looks like this tier 2 tower, more or less, is forfeit. With no glyph available, it's unlikely they're going to even attempt anything further than this.
They have Skywrath Mage off to the side, but no, the tower is going to drop. Hellraisers know that if they lose a fight, they have to either buy back with a whole bunch of their heroes, or just outright lose the game. And as far as buyback status is concerned, Necrophos has one. That's really nice for Hellraisers. Unfortunately, Zeus and Gyrocopter are currently not packing that buyback, as Gyrocopter just bought out for, or is very close to buyback, but doesn't quite have it yet, and Zeus kind of a similar story. So Hellraisers, if they die right now, then they're going to be in a whole heap of trouble, whereas buybacks are actually up for Aftershock. In fact, all the heroes bar the Earthshaker have them, so it's certainly a little bit more comfortable for Aftershock to make this play because they have the right gold and the right time. But taking a tier 2 tower, though it is very nice, isn't really going to be accounting for too much in this game.
Yeah, I think what it means isn't necessarily for this fight in particular, or rather the lack of fight, but if they take an engagement later on in the game, they kill off 3 of Hellraiser's heroes, and they either don't have buyback, or they've already used it and died again, then it's going to be a very easy task of going for the mid lane barracks. It just opens up that possibility later down the line. But for now, still anybody's game. This is not where you expect games to be at 50 minutes, especially with the lineup that Aftershock have. And the way that they've been playing, honestly, 6,000 gold advantage towards Hellraisers. The experience graph, as far as I can see, is almost completely zeroed out, slightly in the favor of Hellraisers. But yeah, it just feels like it's not. It's Aftershock to actually be able to take those barracks, and for that reason, I quite like all of their heroes, just the way that they all scale with items, even though they don't have a clear late game advantage, and they probably do need to think about ending this game before Gyrocopter gets 6-slotted.
Fortunately for Aftershock, Gyrocopter is pretty far away from being 6-slotted. If he buys up a Mantis style, yeah, it'll be kind of nice for him, but then he'll have no buyback, and then that represents an opportunity for Aftershock to straight up win the game thereafter, if they take a good fight. So Gyrocopter is still not farming the best. He needs a couple more big items. It's going to be, I think, mostly up to the Necrophos on Hellraisers. If he gets a Scythe kill on someone, really anyone, on Aftershock, then that could blow the game wide open for Hellraisers. Ancient Apparition getting killed with Scythe could be disastrous for Aftershock. Viper and Brewmaster as well. These are important targets for Necrophos to actually target down. But good luck actually killing the Ancient Apparition. He's pretty much always going to be in the back. And if you can get to him, that's great, but the odds of you being able to get to him are very slim.
Honestly, I'd be okay with Ancient Apparition just sitting inside the base and dropping as big of an ultimate as he can, because that's the most important thing that he's contributing. Sure, Chilling Touch is kind of nice, Icy Vortex and Cold Feet, these are useful tools, but they pale in comparison to actually getting that off, especially onto the Necrophos. Without heals, this hero is actually pretty easy to kill.
Yeah, I think the question is, would you rather have Chilling Touch and Ice Blast onto 3 heroes, or Ice Blast onto 5 heroes? And I think just denying heal to all of them is going to be a lot more effective. There is only one real healing skill that is being wielded by the Necrophos. I suppose you could say Bloodstone Suicide is another. Maybe that's going to be relevant, maybe. But yeah, I think the Ancient Apparition, the farther back he plays, the better off it'll be for Aftershock. His skills are nice, but the value of the Ice Blast, that is really where Aftershock are making this game happen.
Yeah. Okay, for now, Necrophos is back in the game. Hellraisers have all 5 of their players, and hopefully we'll be able to start up again. And we'll actually see how these next couple minutes of the game work out. As far as map control is concerned, Aftershock are pretty much commanding it, although it's mostly on their side of the map. The Radiant have some decent defensive wards, but then again, Aftershock's line of control is pretty limited as well.
Yeah, so it's not really going to be helping either side a huge amount as far as maintaining complete map dominance. Magoma is packing a gem, so maybe Aftershock are going to get a little bit more assured map control down the line, and there's no gem, I don't think, on Hellraisers, but there is a Zeus Lightning Bolt. So with the amount of mana regen Zeus has, he's more than happy to just randomly throw those out. It's going to be a smoke gank running headlong into the Viper. Jalopy is going to see this one coming. Thunder God Draft is going to catch everyone as Goretz is going to try to go for the Viper. He's going to pop the BKB and turn things around. In the meantime, the split is going to happen after, and he's going to split onto 3 heroes. Throw the Gyrocopter up into the air immediately. Goretz is going to hit with the Ice Blast, and I think Goretz is just going to shatter to this one. Yes, he's down. He's going to buy back immediately because he has to. Goddamn, in the meantime, he's going to drop very low to the Viper, but he's going to be chased down by the Viper AA. He's going to be dropping down as well. RT's still alive. Throw up into the air for the majority of the fight, and he is going to be returning back with the vengeance. BKB is up. He'll be killing off a couple of Aftershock heroes, but buyback from pretty much everyone who has it. Brewmaster Jakiro, Goretz, Afoninj. Does anyone else even have a buyback in this game? Yeah, there are quite a few buybacks left, but overall I think that should be a pretty even fight. In fact, yeah, it's remarkably even.
Yeah, it really is. I say that slightly favors Aftershock because they have buyback still in their Ancient Apparition. His item progression really doesn't matter much, and if you can catch Hellraisers off guard where they don't think you have the Ancient Apparition Ice Blast, but in fact you can throw that out, it could be pretty clutch. But outside of that, I think it is pretty much just a wash, especially since the gem is thrown the way of Hellraisers now, and they'll be able to take out some Ward Vision, but then again, they already had the Zeus for that.
Yeah, so it's going to be Aftershock running a little bit blind for the upcoming minutes, about just as blind as Hellraisers were, so I guess an eye for an eye, right? And then everyone's blind or something like that. It's still going to be an Eye of Scotty for a Gyrocopter. So this is actually, I like this item. It's going to give him that survivability that he needs because lifesteal isn't really an option. And it gives him a good amount of agility as well. It's not the most common item, but it's a good workaround for what he needs right now. Up towards top lane though, goddamn, he's all alone. And luckily for him, Aftershock, they're going to decide not to go in. They thought the Skywrath Mage was bait, and I think that's a fair assumption, but if they only knew, they could have very easily gotten that one kill.
They could have, but yeah, going for a single support, if you commit a little too hard for it and there is backup, would have been disastrous. So I can respect the choice to leave Goddamn alive, and honestly, Skywrath Mage pickoff is pretty much just the gold you see on the screen as far as the worth of that pick is concerned.
Maybe getting rid of Force Staff is going to be relevant, but the odds of that happening are very, very slim. Force Staffs are nice, but it's not going to, or most likely, not going to be absolutely game-swinging if you take out a Force Staff for that long. So, Hellraisers, they're going to group up on the bottom lane and try to go for this Tier 2 tower. Aftershock, they are actually capable of defending this. Whether or not they want to is purely up to them, but I think just on paper, they have the correct heroes, they have enough power, and this open space is pretty decent for an Ancient Apparition. If you land an Ice Blast in this area, then usually you're going to be pretty golden. Although it looks like it's going to be a little bit smaller than that, and it will miss.
Yeah. Still, it is only on cooldown for 30 seconds. You can kind of throw those out very liberally, and it looks like Hellraisers are just going to get this Tier 2 tower with no contention. Aftershock probably won't be doing any more than they already are. Throw a Viper Strike out here or there onto the Gyrocopter and then pull back.
Fissuring for good measure. Without the Ice Blast available, there is no chance that they actually take this fight. They're going to end up getting their tower chipped out, throwing Viper Strikes wherever they can. They have to probably watch out for a Vengeful Spirit swap. It is level 3, and Dread, if he gets someone like a Viper back into the hands of RTs, then things get really bad for Aftershock really quickly. It's just a Tier 2 tower. At this point, the gold that the tower gives is irrelevant. The TP support for Roshan is probably the biggest thing, as Roshan is now alive, and it looks like the Dire know about that. So if it is going to be the case that Aftershock need to buy back and reinforce Roshan, it'll be a little while longer as far as teleporting in and walking. Aftershock trying to catch someone on the high ground, but it looks like the rest of Aftershock are going to be actually backing off and going up towards the north for some reason.
Interesting. Hellraisers, they're postured around the Roshan pit. As Dark Courier does get picked off, I didn't see what was on it and actually had nothing. It was probably just scouting out Rosh.
Yeah, he was just checking out Roshan constantly, and I think at this point, since gold is of little matter, you might as well just use a Courier for an extra ward that could actually look into the Roshan pit, so that's pretty nice. Afoninj is kind of doing a similar thing. has infinite mana with 18 Bloodstone charges and a Perseverance and a Dagon 5. So he's going to get complete vision over that Roach Pit. And maybe he's going to set up for something. This is a very precarious situation. This is not great positioning coming off the aShock shot. They're going to bring back Mind Control, but he pops the BKB. Once again, it's going to be Reaper Scythe absorbed. He's going to get the split off as well as Dread tries to TP out of this, but he's going to be brought down by the Viper eventually. The Brewmaster is all alone, however. He's running interference right now, but he's taking quite a bit of damage. The Earth aspect is going to go down. Now the Wind aspect is the last one to survive. Will he be able to escape? There is a gem on some of these heroes, and yes, the Brewmaster will die even with his split. That's going to be a 1-for-1, but that's going to be, in theory, I suppose, successful initiation by the Hellraisers. Finally, Dread gets his swap in, and Brewmaster takes a fall. He does not have a buyback either.
Yeah, that was very good for Hellraisers. Even though the Scythe failed because of fast fingers onto the Brewmaster, this is going to make going into Roche a lot easier for them. And finally, Gyrocopter is becoming incredibly relevant inside the team fights. One of the better heroes at killing off Brewmaster inside the split because of Flak Cannon, and we kind of see the power of that there.
Well, they're going to try to take out Roshan following that fight. aShock, they still have all their ultimates that matter right now, except for the split, but he's down for 70 seconds. It's not going to be relevant anyway. Hellraisers, they don't have the Vengeful Spirit, but they're more than okay to fight without her. If they could take a 4v4 right now, they will probably take it every day of the week, unless Goddamn gets picked off right now. They have a couple of Zeus Illusions running around every which way, and it looks like they will be spotting everything out perfectly. Artis and Gorets are going to be able to slowly take down Roshan, and aShock, they're jockeying for position. Ice Blast is available. And if that hits in this Roshan pit, then things can get really bad for Hellraisers really quickly. But so far, aShock, they're not committing.
Yeah. Right now, there are some pings coming out in the Roshan pit. They're going to throw a Zeus ultimate. It is going to spot everybody out. Yule Scepter onto the Jakiro from Goretz, but he's blocked off by a Fissure. Echo Slam down. Goretz might just fall straight up. He's going to be forced to step forward. Has the BKB, but he's way too low. They'll be able to bring him down with just the Viper, and the right clicks are enough. Viper Strike on Artis is going to slow down his damage, but then again, a Jefferson Ice Blast flies through. Does get the buff onto Artis, but there's just not enough damage. Jalopi's the next one to die. He has buyback, forced to use it now. Heart purchased up by the Viper, and he'll be able to get back in this engagement quickly. But for now, it's just a 2 for 3, plus that buyback spent by the Viper. Can they get any more after the fact? Earthshaker's able to blink out. He was stuck inside the trees previously, and they will search for more. Yule Scepter onto the Zeus. They don't follow up with the Ice Path. Swap from Dread. It is going to land on the Jakiro, but Dread looks like he's just running interference. He wants to save the other heroes. Afroninge is currently stunned up by the Fissure, and now Dag hits up Jalopi, but Jalopi's not taking enough damage. TP attempt from Afroninge. Looks like that's going to succeed. No other way for them to cancel it. In the end, I think that favors aShock. My goodness, it's still the same game. Like, both teams, they're just not giving anything. One fight after one fight, you can't really tell who's going to win the next one.
Well, Hellraisers still have buyback on 3 of their heroes, whereas aShock, they only have buyback on the Shaker. And though they might have a Shaker with 2 lives, that's a pretty irrelevant hero to have 2 lives on. I suppose now they have 2 lives in the Viper as well. aShock, they take the Aegis and Cheese after the end of all of that fighting. But still, they are struggling to deal with this Gyrocopter. Yes, they killed off Goretz in a hurry without having to use that Ancient Apparition Blast. But the Gyrocopter was just running around, flat cannoning everybody, rocket barraging everyone. Things were really dangerous for aShock, and they don't have enough damage to actually have anyone sit there and duel the Gyrocopter. Viper is probably their best bet, but not after going for a heart. As nice as it is on the Viper, I think aShock are going to eventually run out of damage output. They need someone else to get some sort of Daedalus or MKB or something in order to bring these heroes of Hellraisers down, or they have to take a second set of Raxes. And if they take this right now, then this could be aShock gaining a whole slew of momentum moving forward. Let's see if they have enough.
Tier 3 tower, at the very least, is probably going to fall into their favor. They'll continuously spam out these Viper Strikes onto the Gyrocopter, and this is the way they want to use the Aegis. This is looking pretty similar to the push down in bottom, but now that they're fighting up against Hellraisers full forces, they are going to pull out of here. Jalopi's going to be tagged by a Concussive Choke, but I am inclined to agree with you. I really think they need a Monkey King Bar Daedalus on Jalopi, and maybe even start considering like an Abyssal Basher for Brewmaster. I think that would be a worthy pickup, just to lock down the Gyrocopter, even if he has the BKB up. But that said, Gyrocopter is going to be getting a Butterfly soon.
And once he has that, they're going to need MKBs on his couple of heroes, Basher, Assault Cuirass, that type of build from the Brewmaster. It's certainly going to be very nice if he could find the gold for it, but good luck doing that. He has to save for buyback, or I guess he doesn't even have enough gold for buyback, so he has to first of all get enough gold for buyback, then he has to build up the likes of big items, Hyperstone for the Assault Cuirass, armor items, and then go for an MKB or something like that. So it's a very long ways away until they can get anything going, at least for right now. They're going to continue barreling their way through the middle lane. They might take down Tier 3 tower. It's not really too relevant. It'll help them get to the range Raxes, but aShock, they've shown that they are not willing to take ranged axes when they could try to go for melee. And is this just going to be it? They have the Aegis still. They're kind of low on mana on Jalopy. Maybe they're going to fall back for now, but I don't know. This is probably the biggest advantage that they're going to have for a very long time.
Okay, well, looks like we are still having issues with the stream. The lag is persisting. Honestly, at this point, considering a stream restart is very difficult, and hopefully we can just power through. There is a Radiant Courier kill, and that's actually a super significant one. My goodness. 3,000 net worth, that was an Ultimate Orb and a gem on the deck.
Alright, I just saw the Ultimate Orb. I'm like, that's not 3,000 gold. It was working fine for me, the stream, and it looks like it still is. Like, I'm watching it right now, and it's just fine, guys. So, I actually have no idea what the problem is. Maybe it's just like a regional issue. Like, I'm not getting spikes. I'm not dropping frames. So, my apologies, guys. The stream reset would probably be the best course of action, but knock 61 minutes into a game that could end after a single team fight, so that's not going to happen. I apologize. They're going to try to go for mid again, aFShock. They take out the gem and the courier, but again, not too relevant. Thunder God's Wrath is going to be used, mostly for scouting more so than anything else. Jalopy's getting hit somewhat by it, but he has a heart, so he doesn't really care. It's a giant creep wave up towards top lane. Is going to force aFShock back, and they don't have any hero that's really good at defending this, except for the Ancient Apparition. Does he really want to throw an Ice Blast up there?
I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Right now, they are all smoked and poised to strike. aFShock are posturing pretty aggressively. Let's see if they're going to be able to make this second set of barracks work for them. They will slow up Jalopy with a Congested Shot as he throws a Viper Strike into the Gyrocopter. The Ancient Apparition Ice Blast is going to get the buff on Artist, but nothing else. After that, I think aFShock need to bail.
Alright, so that was also a wasted Echo Slam by the Earthshaker. He got hit by something. I suppose it was just the Wave of Terror. Ended up canceling his Blink Dagger. Even if he did get it out, I don't think it would have been entirely relevant, as it would have hit only one person. Maybe it would have forced them into a team fight, and that's kind of what they want to do right now. But either way, it's going to be a hell of a long time before Zeroji gets his ultimate back up, and once he does have that, maybe aFShock are going to make a very similar play happen over towards the mid lane, but that, of course, remains to be seen. Still they have the Aegis ticking away, and it looks like the Aegis might not actually get value. All of that for a tier 3, and this game is still so close.
Yeah, it definitely is. Even though the advantage is 10,000 in favor of Hellraisers at 62 minutes in the game, honestly, that doesn't matter much at all. It's all about the execution inside the team fights. If they get off a good Echo Slam and a good Ice Path, or Ice Blast, my goodness, Ice Path is nice, but not as relevant as the Ice Blast from Ancient Apparition. Then that fight is going to go in the favor of aFShock. And similarly for Hellraisers, if that doesn't work out for them, they don't focus down the Gyrocopter, it's going to be disastrous.
Gyrocopter is the most important here. We still have yet to see the Reaper's Scythe Aghanim upgrade really come into play. I don't think it's actually hit anyone so far for lethal, mostly because Goretz has been picked off before he could get the chance to do so, so there is that to consider. That is still going to represent probably the best case for Hellraisers to just break through, crash through the cheese, and just go straight into the aFShock base without having to deal with one hero for a very long time. But the longer this game drags on, the more farm Arties is going to get, and the more farm aFShock get, but for items that are less relevant. Like, what have they gotten recently? A BKB on Zeroji? Sure, he's not going to get hit with magical damage, but if your Shaker survives for a little bit more in the fight, is it really going to make the difference? They need something that hits very hard, and those items are not coming up.
Yeah, I'd love to see them consider going for something along the lines of a refresher for the Earthshaker, but honestly, with his build, getting off the double Echo Slam, the full combination, is pretty darn difficult for him. Unless he double pops those Arcane Boots, I'm not even sure if it's entirely possible. Maybe even Aghanim Scepter. Force Staff attempted by Kefka down to the low ground is not going to succeed. A big item for Hellraisers now is that they have the Scythe on Necrophos. Blink Scythe Initiation is one of the best ways to start a fight on your own terms. Maybe he's also going to replace something with the refresher, Yule's Scepter maybe. But outside of that, Hellraisers are also pretty much hitting their peak on all of their heroes.
So it's 64 minutes in, and we're in a stalled out game state. I don't know how often you're going to be seeing this, but it's certainly not going to be the most common thing in the world to have this type of game 64 minutes in. The Brewmaster actually just... I don't know what happened to his inventory, if it was always like this, but it turns out he's just really poor still. Like, this is kind of depressing to look at. He has Blink Dagger, BKB, Aghanim Scepter for an hour-long game. That should not be the case. He should be, like, ideally close to 6 slotted by now, but, you know, so it goes. He's 8 10 and 18, not the best for him. Smoke up from Hellraisers. They're going to look for someone, but they're not going to find anyone. So this is going to, once again, be just stalled out game state continuing on.
Yeah, as sad as it is for Aftershock and their heroes, it's even worse for the supports of Hellraisers. They haven't been able to pick up anything, and honestly, I'm not sure that matters much. Vengeful Spirit in particular is absolutely dirt poor. But as long as the defensive swap comes out, and if it's able to avoid Gyrocopter getting hit by the Ice Blast or Necrophos from an Echo Slam or what have you, it's enough, and that's probably the most useful thing Dread can do. Even though it looks like he is feeding, he's actually playing it very well.
Yeah, and if he just stays alive for more Vengeance Aura, that's all he really needs to do. And giving his life to save someone like Goretz or something like that, if it's at all possible in the team fight, of course positioning is going to be the most important thing as far as that is concerned, then that's going to be his job fulfilled, and hopefully he's not going to get killed in the process, but let's be honest, the odds of that happening are very, very slim. If he swaps someone out, he's going to die. So Dread still has his job to do. Vengeful Spirit, Skywrath Mage. Skywrath Mage still holding on to that Ultimate Orb. He has had that and nothing else for 15 minutes now, I want to say. Something along those lines. He hasn't made much progression as far as his items are concerned. But I do like the fact that he's trying to go for a Sheep Stick. First of all, it'll make him do a little more damage on Arcane Bolts, but having another Sheep Stick on your team at all, and on a support hero nonetheless, is going to just be huge for Hellraisers. They're still getting more items than Aftershock are. If you take a look at the gold graph, it's not going to indicate like who's in a lead or anything like that, but Hellraisers, they're definitely getting more items that are more useful, whereas Aftershock, they're just not keeping up with the farm.
Fair enough. Looks like our next point of contention is again going to be the Roshan. As neither team really are in any position to push high ground, even though all of the outer two towers have been taken outside this map. Zeus Ultimate is going to be used just to scout out the enemy team, and since they are going into this more or less completely blind, definitely can understand it. In fact, they have no wards out.
And there is only one ward available for Aftershock. They're maybe going to see Hellraisers if they try to take a fight around the Roshan pit. They're going to see the positioning, but there's a gem from Skywrath Mage, and I don't think this ward is going to last for very long. Unfortunately, rip ward, it will be eventually going down. There we go. So now everybody is blind. There are actually, no, there's one more ward up on top lane. I don't know why this Observe ward is here. This seems like a kind of pointless Observe ward to have on the Aftershock side. Probably isn't going to give them much value, but that is the only source of vision on the map. And this is going to be both teams having to group up as 5 and move around, else they get picked off and then they're forced to buy back, and they don't have any wards to protect themselves, so you have that whole big thing going. If any team breaks formation as 5, then things can get really bad for them really quickly, with the exception of Ancient Apparition leaving his team to get a little bit more space.
Yeah, that's completely acceptable. AA is also going to be saving up for his Scythe. But the state of the game for Magoma hasn't changed at all. Brewmaster, however, might get caught out here. They're going to catch eyes on him, but the concussive shot isn't going to land. He gets the split off immediately, and that's split forced out for very little, but they get it. Fissure onto 3, follow-up. Where is it? They get the Zeus Ultimate Refresh. It's going to spot out everybody out and cancel out some of the Blink Daggers. Echo Slam on the backlines, trying to focus down Artis. They miss with the Enchant Totem hit, and Artis is still standing strong, turning with the Flat Cannon on. Is going to be doing a truckload of damage to Aftershock, but nobody's falling just yet. Kefka's still alive. They are going to boulder up Artis' BKB's worn off, and they are going to be able to clap him down to the ground. That is a kill onto the Necrophos as well as to the Gyrocopter as Viper continues to focus into Goddamn. That will be 4-0. He's going to take down to the poison damage, and the only survivor is Zeus. Buybacks are available on every single hero on the side of Hellraisers, but surely they don't want to spend them.
Man, they need the buybacks in order to defend their base, and Aftershock somehow taking a remarkable team fight after all of that. The longer it went on, the more it seemed like Gyrocopter was just going to be able to manhandle the rest of Aftershock, but he just took enough damage. He ended up getting being the target of a single-person Ice Blast, and that is pretty much what you need to do if you're Ancient Apparition. Get the Gyrocopter at the very least in that Ice Blast so you could very easily bring him down, or at least easier. It's easier to bring him down in that regard, because they're still lacking a little bit of damage, the Aftershock side, so they need to rely on that Shatter effect. They're going to go into the Roshan straight after, and Hellraisers, they're not going to be able to defend this. There's Aegis and Cheese now available for Aftershock, but man, these games are just, these fights are just getting closer and closer and closer, and even though this time it's Aftershock to take an advantageous trade, I don't think the same can be said for the next fight, or the next fight, or the next fight, just because, well, now there's a Sheep Stick on Zeus. Who knows how a Sheep Stick could have changed that fight.
Definitely. But then again, who knows what this Monkey King Bar and Viper would have done for Aftershock, or the Assault Cuirass on the Brewmaster. The items are coming out for Aftershock as well, and honestly, I don't think items matter pretty much at all anymore. Brewmaster has one more slot to fill once that Aegis expires, and I'd love to see that last slot be an Abyssal Blade, although that's probably a little bit hopeful thinking unless this game goes for another 10 minutes, God forbid. But then again, both teams are fighting at pretty much peak performance on most of these heroes.
I still don't really know if there is lag. I'm watching the stream and it's just fine on my end. Guys, try changing the quality. I'm not going to shut down the stream right now just because it is going to be impossible for me to fix stuff in the middle of this game without the camera work completely just being destroyed, so that's not going to be happening, so it's up to you to try to fix it. Again, my apologies. I thought I had it fixed and it seemed like it was going well, but apparently what I see is not what everyone else sees, which is, for some reason, the way it's going to be going. So, yeah, there is that. There's nothing I can do about this right now. In between games, if this was a best of 3, then I could, but not right now. aPhoNinja, what are you doing here? You need to get the hell out, like, right now. Yule Scepter, Shaker, Fissure, no! aPhoNinja, he was playing that really fast and loose, almost suicidally so, but he manages to slip away.
Yeah. Zoroji, a little bit hesitant about where the Zeus was. Maybe just slightly faster would have been pick off on the Zeus. He'd probably be able to get the Bloodstone out. But either way, it still would be wonderful for aFShock to at least take him off the map for a little while. Zeus is getting close to the point where he's almost at instant respawn. I believe you have to have one more than your hero level or at your heal level to be at instant, but honestly it doesn't matter. His respawn timer is going to last 10 seconds or so.
And when that happens, he could even buy back if he really needs to, but the double Thunder God's Wrath is pretty much guaranteed. At this point, I'm not sure if it's going to be doing as much damage as it once was as far as chunking down heroes. Really, at this point, the extra Thunder God's Wrath is... I mean, the damage is nice, but it's going to be the extra proc of Static Field that's going to be the most relevant, in all honesty. It's like, you want to get that extra 11% health reduction out there, and that's probably going to be doing the most damage, like, percentage-wise. That and the Heartstopper Aura from the Necrophos, but percentage damage, we'll see if it's actually relevant. It's very hard to see if it's relevant, of course, since it is typically very slow. aFShock, they have the Aegis, they have the cheese, Mind Control packing the Aegis, Jalopy with the cheese. They have an MKB on Jalopy, he's going to Force Staff right into a Hex. Drake's going to swap out that Scarth Mage. Now they're going to drop the call down onto 2. Jalopy's going to pop the cheese, Mind Control, going to get Scythe though. This is going to be the end of the Aegis. Scythe down for Aegis, I'm not sure if that's worth it for aFShock right now, but they're still going to try to go for a little bit more. Jalopy's now doing some pretty decent damage, but he's taking quite a bit as well. He has to back off for a little bit of heart regen. I don't think he can stay on the front lines with half HP anymore.
No, Scythe on the Mind Control, looking for more. They are going to tag him up, refresh on the Zeus. They have another Scythe coming through, and they're just walking him down to the Scotty. Mind Control, force pop to BKB, doesn't get the split up before he falls. Zoroji dropping incredibly low, as is Makoma. The Mystic Flare kills off Makoma. Gem on the deck, and everybody in aFShock is so incredibly low. Just if there was... I don't know, an extra refresher on Zeus, they'll mop up one more kill on the sidelines as Jakiro is going to die to the Scarth Mage after dropping his kit, and now it's aFShock's turn to be forced to buy back. Jalopy is going to... What was that? Was that cheese? I thought he already used that, but either way, he's going to lose his life.
5 kills for 0 deaths. Hellraisers, they have a Scythe cooling down in 15 seconds. They have a creep wave incoming. aFShock are going to buy back with everyone bar the AA. I think he's going to have to buy back. They need the Ice Blast if they want to defend this. Maybe they decide to sacrifice the Raxes, but that's a really, really tough call to make right now for aFShock. They're going to try to start with the Echo Slam onto RT's Ice Path, and Ice Blast going to fly through. Where's the Ice Blast, actually? It's going to fly wide. It's not going to get onto anyone except for the chilling effect. That might be still enough to kill off RT. He's taking a little bit of focus from Magoma, but he's turning around for a lot more damage. Jalopy now going to get Scythe down. He has no buyback, and he's down for a very long time. Ancient Apparition also going to die. There's only a Jakiro to survive, whereas Hellraisers, they buy back with RT. He's going to rejoin the fight immediately with Travels. I think Hellraisers may just have done it. They're going to go straight for the Jugular now. The tier 4s are under siege, and aFShock, they have no heroes available except for only a lonely Jakiro. He's going to get swapped back into a Silence. He's going to throw himself into the air. Shiva's guard up, but between Call Down and Mystic Flare, actually it's not going to do enough. It's RT's physical damage that's going to do it. There's no one alive from aFShock. It's 10 seconds till Brewmaster's alive, but he can't do this alone. I think this is GG.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. After a very up and down game from both sides, it's Hellraisers to just take the last fight, and that last fight was the one that matters. This is the way that Necrophos changes games, and it's one of the reasons why I personally hate playing against it. If you just get the Scythe on one of the important targets, it's pretty much all but over, and, well, it was definitely a good game from both teams. obviously, it was aFShock to put a better performance up than everybody expected them, and maybe on a different day they would have been able to take the series.
Well, but for right now, the first 2 games were played yesterday, guys. 1-1 was the score then. Third game delayed to today, and Hellraisers, after a grueling game, are going to come out ahead. That's going to put them a little bit more ahead in the Battle of Central Europe, where in the future they're going to have a date with VP Polish, so that one should be very interesting. aFShock, they're not quite out of this tournament. I believe they're going to be facing up against either My Insanity, CCK, or Denial. That's going to be happening at a later date, tentatively the 10th of December. But who knows, reschedules and such. So that is going to be it here on HeflaTV HB1. Once again, I apologize for the lag. I'll try to get that settled now that we actually have some time where I'm not controlling the camera. Other than that, if you enjoyed the cast, and I sincerely hope you did outside the lag, if you want to follow us, it's going to be facebook.com, twitter.com/HeflaTV. I'm Mike Loris. You can find me at Mike Loris. He's GrandisV. Same thing for him, at GrandisV on Twitter. Any final words, man?
Nope. Well played to both teams, and look forward to seeing them both in the Battle of Central Europe in the future.
Alright, guys. Take care. GG.